Welcome to the today's class of natural gas flow measurement. Today we'll be discussing this natural gas measurement. We first introduce you about this topic. So first you see that why this measurement is important. This natural gas is being transported in pipeline with continuous flow from gas reservoir to the ultimate user. Both seller who is sending the gas to the user or the purchaser requires the measurement. He want to know that how much quantity being delivered and how much quantity being received by the purchaser, right? It must be a quantitative measurement where a definite amount of gas being transported should be measured and should be rated accordingly. Now, the commonly used method for measuring natural gas is by volume. As you see, this volume is depend on pressure and temperature, which is going to change in flow of gas through the pipeline. So, therefore, the volumetric measurement is more important. Now, you see that most of the operator measures the unit in 1,000 cubic feet, and you can say this as 1 MSCF, right? So, in this way, the gas being sold to the purchaser. Now here you see that mostly since we are selling in cubic feet, however the most common unit of being rated or being sold is the BTU. In order to provide greater accuracy in comparing the fuel that is being sold, it should be sold in British thermal unit, right? So although we are selling it in cubic feet only, but it is 1 cubic feet equal to 1000 BTU. So the amount of energy content that is being sold should be rated in BTUs, or generally the energy being sold in dollars. Okay, dollars per million BTUs. So this is how the energy being sold. Now in this chapter particularly, we are going to discuss about gas volumetric flow rate with the orifice meter. These orifices are very commonly used and are more robust with less moving parts. Therefore, in most of the gas measurement industries, this orifice meter has almost 60 to 70% presence. Also, we'll be discussing some of the other measuring methods used for natural gas measurement. Now, the purpose of this chapter is to introduce you with some of the common measurement technologies available for natural gas. Okay, so we'll not be going in that much deep. We'll be only introducing you the kind of instruments being used in the industry. Next is the criteria to choose the appropriate flow meter. Now, once you are going to choose a appropriate flow meter, there are a lot of flow meter which are available in the market. We want that what is the accuracy that we want in our measurement, right? So this is one of the parameter which is being chosen as a criteria to choose the kind of flow meter. Then you have range of flow and temperature, right? So range of flow, as we go along, we'll discuss about orifice meter, that what is the range of flow that will be needed for choosing the particular orifice meter. But the temperature that is written here is used to decide the density. Okay, so density going to change based on the temperature. Therefore, density changes the volumetric flow rate. Therefore, this temperature is very important, and range of temperature is to be determined at what range of temperature we are going to measure our uh, flow. Then the type of fluid, it may be liquid, it may be gas containing lot of impurities. The fluid determines the kind of flow meter to be used. So if you have lot of moving parts, then the kind of fluid which is being used may damage your moving parts, right? Because it may contain impurities. So in that case, you may need certain kind of flow meter that are having less moving part. So therefore, type of fluid, then expected useful life of that equipment or that flow meter. Again, the cost is very important, which need to be considered. Capital cost, that is the cost which has incurred during the purchase of it, and then You have operating cost, which includes its maintenance cost over a period of time. Then the power availability, some kind of flow meter also based on power, so they need power supply. So again, the power availability and the part availability. So if it has moving part and get damaged, then certainly the part has to be changed, and part availability is most important. So these are some criterias which need to be chosen for selecting a kind of flow meter. Now we'll discuss various type of flow meters. The kind of flow meter which is shown here is the orifice meter, and it's most common equipment which is used in natural gas industries, and it is the orifice meter. Now under a wide umbrella, you see that flow meter are of different types. So number one is differential flow meter. Second is elbow turbine, and it may be positive displacement flow meters like reciprocating or rotary, right? So this we'll discuss later, but here I am just showing you the kind of measurement being used in the industry by the orifice meter, and which is also called differential flow meter. This orifice meter is widely used and most commonly used. Now, as you see that this orifice meter consists of a thin flat plate with an accurately machined circular hole in between, right? So the diameter of this circular hole is very small and compared to diameter of the pipe, and this orifice meter is being centered between the flanges, as you can see in this diagram. I'll show this diagram in a 3D also. You see that these are the two flanges and this orifice meter which is sandwiched between these two flanges, and it has been placed here so that the fluid which is coming here get diverted and form a vena contracta, and then we can measure the differential pressure. So that is why this is called differential flow meter. And this consists of primarily a thin steel plate, and which is about 3 1 by 6 inch thick, right? So this I'm talking about orifice meter, which is made of stainless steel, and it is placed in the center of flow line where the flow is coming, and this causes the pressure difference across it. So generally in all kind of measurement, you see that we want the pressure difference. Now how this pressure difference is created, we need to bring some kind of restriction, right, that generates the pressure difference. So here we have bring the restriction in the form of orifice meter, and this will generate the kind of pressure difference, and that is to be measured, right? Now here in the below figure you can see that we have different pressure taps, okay, which are being used to record the differential pressure. Also in the place of pressure tap, we can also use the gauges which can tell us the pressure difference between these 2 points. Okay, so the placement of these pipe taps have been recommended by American Gas Association, and it can be placed here also, it can be placed on the flanges also, and it can be placed somewhere here near the vena contracta and near the uh, one diameter from orifice meter. Okay, so here somewhere here. So there are various regions have been defined for placement of the these pressure taps. We'll see it later on. The orifice meter, you can see, is composed of two major elements. Number one element is the primary element. Okay, now this primary element is used for producing the differential pressure. So here the primary element is the orifice, right? So generally this primary element can be defined as the element which restrict the flow in the pipeline to produce the differential pressure. So this is called primary element. Now the secondary element is used for measuring the pressure. So here we have the secondary element, the pressure taps, right? So in this way, the primary element and secondary element have been defined. So the purpose of primary element is to create the differential pressure. Now once that differential pressure is created, you can measure the pressure differential, right? Now this pressure difference and the absolute pressure in the line at the specified tap location are recorded continuously and are later translated into the flow. right? So these are the two very important parameters, that is pressure difference that we are going to record, and the absolute pressure in the pipeline, right? So these two have to be recorded throughout the flow, so that later on this can be translated into the flow. We'll see as we go along. Now here you can see on the left hand side, we have the pipeline, and there are the two flanges, and in this, between the two flanges, the orifice is inserted. So in this way it will restrict the flow and will allow the pressure difference to be created, and then it can be measured. In the below table, you can see that inlet pressure tap, which is on the upstream side, and the outlet pressure trap, which is in the downstream side. So as recommended by American Gas Association, and it is mentioned in a reference shown below, that the pressure tap should be located one pipe diameter upstream from the plate, face of plate. So this is the face of the plate, this is the diameter of the pipe. So it should be placed one diameter from the orifice, that is, this is the orifice, so you have to go in one diameter of this pipe. Okay, so if this pipe diameter is capital D, so you have to move from this point to this point at the capital D length, right? And one half diameter downstream of the inlet. So from here you have to move D by 2. You can locate your two different pressure taps to be measured, okay, as shown here. Okay, so this is D and this is D by 2. Now the figure which I have shown you is the kind of recorded measurement for the pressure differential across the 2 points, as well as, so here you can see that we have two different data recorded, which is the pressure differential and absolute pressure. So we'll discuss about this figure little later, but you can see that this is the kind of measurement which is being recorded. As per the American Gas Association, as I mentioned, that the flow rate through the orifice can be calculated using this equation as shown in the slide. That is, QH is the quantity rate of the flow at base condition, is equal to C dash. C dash is the orifice flow constant, root over HW. HW is the differential pressure, which is being measured in inches of water at 60 Fahrenheit. Now 60 Fahrenheit is your base temperature, right? So HW is measured at differential pressure. If it is not 60 Fahrenheit, then you have to make some corrections, and this correction will be incorporated in the orifice flow constant, that is C dash, right? And another is your absolute static pressure, which is being measured. So there is a static pressure of the flow, and which need to be measured. And once you have these two parameters, differential pressure and absolute static pressure, then your quantity rate of flow at base condition is measured, and it can be put in that formula. Now you see that your flow rate is proportional to the root over P. Okay, so this need to be kept in mind. You see that your C dash, and C dash is the orifice flow constant, which depends on number of parameters, and it needs number of corrections, right? So I have shown you the 11 parameters which need to be corrected. So let's see only one. So if you talk about the base orifice factor, so base orifice factor is FB. Okay, now this FB is dependent on the location of tap, right? So the tap should be accurately located, and it depends on the location of tap, the internal diameter, and the size of orifice, right? So this base factor need to be incorporated, and therefore you have to determine C. So this base factor, you can find it from the appendix C given in the Guo and Glamber book. So you can find this appendix C, and you can see the value of FB based on the size of your orifice and the diameter of your pipeline. So these are the two factors which can be able to find the value of FB. So in similar manner, there are a lot of factors which can be found out from the diameter of the pipe and diameter of the orifice, and there are certain corrections which need to be incorporated in order to find out C dash. And once this C dash is found, you will be able to find out the quantity rate of flow that is flowing through the pipeline. And one thing to be kept in mind, that we need not always to calculate C dash, because it is the manufacturer which provide the value of C dash. But in certain cases, when the equipment is not calibrated, then we can calibrate the equipment and find out the value of C dash by performing some experiments. Okay, so no need to calculate all these values each and every time. This is provided by the manufacturer at the time of delivery. Now, as I discussed the plot here, now this is not used in today's world because we are more digital now, but uh, there are many places in remote places this is being used at present also. So you see that this chart is showing the value of your differential pressure as well as absolute pressure. So you see here in this graph, all these concentric circular lines are showing you the differential pressure, and these lines which is going from inlet to outward is showing you the differential pressure. Okay, so absolute pressure is shown by the concentric circles, and the differential pressure is shown by the lines which is going from inward to outward. Okay, so as you can see here, that a reading at full scale or full range of gauge will be 10, the square root of 100. Okay, so this is showing you the 10 divisions. That means you have 100 inch of maximum pressure differential. So the maximum pressure differential which can be measured is 100 inch. Similarly, the maximum absolute pressure that can be measured is 500 psi, right? So the topmost circle will show you 500 psi, right? Now you see that in the chart, if you have a reading of 5, right? So if you have somewhere here, okay, that will represent a differential pressure of 25 and a static pressure of 125. Now this can be calculated using a chart factor. So we have defined RH value. So RH is the your differential pressure. Okay, so it is a range of maximum differential pressure which is 100 here, right? So 100 inches is RH here. So maximum is 100 inch, which is RH, and 500 psi, that is the absolute pressure gauge, which is termed as RP. So the maximum value that can be measured is RH and RP. Now the actual parameter that we are going to find out from this chart can be given by chart reading. So suppose chart reading is 5, right? And chart factor we have just calculated. So chart reading into chart factor whole square give you the actual parameter value. Now this pressure differential and absolute pressure is recorded throughout the clock, right? So you can see this from 12 hours, then 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So this is for whole cycle of hours from 1 to 12 p.m. midnight, and this can be recorded further also. Okay, 24-hour is still for 1 month also. So we require different such square root chart for actual recording, right? So this is not much complicated. This is very simple. Only thing, this is being recorded over a period of time, and this is recorded in a square root of actual recording. So once you have the recording, you have to convert that recording to the actual parameter value, and that's all. Now here you can see one example of this computation. Here see that you have a 50-inch and 100-pound gauge, right? So the 50-inch is the maximum recording that is possible by the differential pressure gauge, and the 100-pound gauge is absolute pressure gauge, which is giving you a maximum value of 100 psi, right? So here you have RH equal to 50 and the static pressure range of RP equal to 100. Now you have these two values. You can put this value here, that is in the previous equation. So this HW equal to chart reading divided by 10 square into RH. Now you get the value of differential pressure, that is 25.92 in water, and the actual static pressure, that is 88.36 psi. Now once you have the value of HW and PF, you can find out this quantity, which is called quantity rate of flow at base conditions. But you have the value of orifice flow constant, which is around 0.6, 0.2, 0.8, right? Depend on the manufacturer guidelines. Here is also one example. You can go through it. Now I'm moving to the selection of orifice meter. Now, as I discussed, while you select any flow meter, you have maximum flow rate range and temperature, as I said in the first slide. So it's maximum flow rate range which need to be decided, right, for a kind of flow meter. So here you see that the following information are collected about the characteristics and condition of the flow which is to be metered. And here you see that we need the maximum peak hourly rate and minimum hourly rate. And in this way, we'll decide that whether this orifice meter is applicable for that maximum peak hourly rate and minimum hourly rate or not. Okay, so practically you see that the quantity of gas that is flowing through an orifice at constant pressure varies as the square root of the differential pressure, right? As I have shown you the earlier equation, that this quantity of flow, that is QH, is depend on the root of differential pressure, right? Now you see that once you have half of the flow, right? So suppose your flow is taking place through a pipe at half of the rate. Okay, so earlier it was Q, now it is Q by 2. So your differential pressure will be 1/4 of that of given rate, right, as per the given equation. So because of this mechanical and installation limitations, it has been considered impractical to construct a differential gauge that will continuously record pressure with acceptable accuracy below 1/16th of its maximum range, right? A given flow rate, if it become 1/16th, right, then that is the topmost limit of selecting the orifice meter, right? So if it is lesser than that, then this orifice meter will not work. So therefore you can define the working range of one orifice plate and a differential gauge is from maximum capacity to about 1/16th of its maximum. Then it can handle it, otherwise it will not be appropriate to select that particular orifice meter for a desired application. Now you see that this advantage of orifice meter, because of its wide applicability, is the accuracy that it gives, its ruggedness to work in a different environment because of lesser moving parts, simplicity of design, ease of installation and maintenance, range of capacity as mentioned in the previous slide, low cost and wide acceptance for gas measurement, and availability of various standard charts tables accurately find out the flow rate through the orifice meter. So these are the different advantages of orifice meter which allow us to use it in a wide range or wide applications. Now there are other methods also. As discussed, orifice meter is a kind of differential flow meters, and their application is wide. Now there are other flow measurement techniques also, such as displacement meter, positive displacement meter, turbine meter, venturi meter, flow nozzles, elbow meters, and rotameters. So there are many, but based on the particular selection criteria, the cost involved in the application, and then degree of ruggedness you want, the type of flow that is being taking place, so depend on different factors, the methods of measurement should be selected. So I'll just show you a brief video that will give you an idea of different flow meters. I found this very good, so I want you to see it, right? So let's see this. Okay, so this video is not working right now. So as I discussed, this measurement techniques are different and we require different flow meters. So based on a particular application, we can choose a kind of flow meter which is mostly required for that purpose. And you see that we have differential flow meters like venturi meter, this orifice meter, elbow meters. All this comes under the category of differential meters. And then we have positive displacement meters. Now in the next slide, I will show you the positive displacement meters, where you can see that we have two different category for positive displacement metering. One is your reciprocating displacement. As you can see on the right hand side, that there is a piston cylinder assembly where the suction is coming from the pipe. So the purpose of this arrangement is to measure the flow rate that is coming, and at each time the suction is being taking place, will tell you the amount of gas that is being coming and it's going out, right? So what is happening here, that each stroke is taking some amount of gas from the suction and then it is being sending it to the discharge. So in this way, the number of stroke that is being taking place uh, during the measurement, suppose, so that each stroke will decide how much gas which has been come in and is being recorded, right? So each stroke is a definite stroke measuring the amount of flow that is coming in. So suppose x meter is coming in, x meter cube of gas has come in and it's being recorded by one stroke, right? So you have to record the number of strokes which is being recorded over a period of time. So suppose initially you have R1 stroke, and then finally at some period of time you have R2 stroke, right? So the amount of gas which is being uh, or quantity of the gas at base condition can be calculated by R2 minus R1 into P, the pressure. TB and PB are the base pressure, T is the temperature in the pipeline, and Z is the compressibility factor. So this R can be said as the counter registration. So for each stroke, you know the amount of fluid that is coming in. So that each stroke is converted into fit cube, right? And this fit cube is nothing but a counter registration. So first you have to get the initial reading and then final reading, and then you can calculate the flow rate that is flowing through the pipeline. So in this way, this is the positive displacement category. And another one is, you see that we have rotatory displacement. Now this rotatory displacement meter uses two metal impellers, as you can see here, of same size, and this metal rotates on individual shaft and are designed and spaced to rotate tangentially to each other, right? And they are enclosed in a cylindrical case. Gas flowing through this meter rotates the impeller. So you see that the gas which is coming from inlet will rotate these impellers, and the degree of rotation will tell you the amount of gas that is being passing through the pipeline. So these are the some indirect measurement which need calibration over a period of time, and this is called displacement. So one you have reciprocating and one is rotatory. So in this way there are various flow meters available. We are just discussing the basic principle. There is lot beyond this to find out the calibration factor, and such instrument, particularly displacement metering, require the calibration. However, if you see the orifice meter, they require least calibration, and therefore they are widely used in the industry. So this is all about the today's classes. If you have any question and doubt, you can ask. Dhaval?